Hey, and welcome back to the enclosure. I've been working on my electrical, and I thought I'd share some of the tips that I've picked up from various people. One of them was a fellow who used to work at the condominium building that I used to live at, and he was the electrician, and I tagged along often on some of his jobs. He's now a inspector, electrical and safety inspector for, I think, the city of Burnaby, and I've kept up with him over the years, and he's helped me from time to time. So some of this stuff is what he taught me when I was renovating my apartment back in 1990-91. I took it down to the studs and rewired it and renovated the wall design and properly insulated it and stuff like that. Anyway, some of these things are things that he mentioned. Some of these things are things that I have found on build sites, and some of these things are things I have found on YouTube. So I'm just going to share some of these in case you don't know them. Any of the pros obviously would know them, but some of the homeowners doing some minor repairs, this could be helpful. So this is a 3-wire, which means that it's got 2 hot conductors and 1 neutral conductor. The hots are the red and the black, and the neutral is the white. And there's various ways to strip this, but this is the way that I have found that works without ever worrying about kinking or nicking the inside conductors, insulation, and it's reasonably fast for me. You always want to strip before you put it into the box. It's almost impossible to make a nice clean strip of the outer sheathing while it's in the box. You end up with ragged corners, and the inspectors really don't like to see that. Now, talking about what they do like to see, basically they want to see, I think the code requires no more than 1/4 of an inch of the white showing above the strain relief connector in the box, whether it's plastic or metal. And what they really want to see is they just want to barely see that white sheathing and a nice clean break at that point sticking above. So I get mine so I can barely see, say, that black line. And that, I think, is going to make them quite happy. So what I do, I carry around an 8-inch long piece of stripped sheathing. I don't like the amount of wastage that most trades go through, and electricians are no exception. They just put in copious amounts of extra cable, and then when there comes time to put it into the box, they end up cutting off feet per box, and over the job site that's hundreds of feet potentially, and so that's like a roll of wire. It's not necessary. I personally like to put my boxes in where they need to be, then plan my routes, and then I put in my cables one at a time. I don't go through and run a whole bunch of cables through and then try to put them into the box. I put them in the box as I'm going. I can tell whether or not there's going to be any not disruptions, but interferences between circuits, that kind of thing. So I carry this around, and I've just marked 8 inches. 6 inches is what required by code. A couple of extra inches is wise. It just makes it easier to wire up the receptacle. And then you use one of these, which quite frankly I never knew was for electrical. I've used this for all kinds of things, including I think cutting asparagus once underground. But this is actually an electrical tool apparently. And what you do is you just score. You're not cutting through the white sheathing, you're just scoring it. And mine is sharp here. I've sharpened it here, but it's fairly dull here. And what some people do is they try to dig in with this, and I don't like that, because I just find it when you got something dull and something sharp, and you're trying to use the dull part to dig into something, and then it digs in, and then you've got the sharp part coming down on you, you just risk cutting yourself. So you can see how I just twisted this here. That's aligning all of the conductors. And then I'm taking a cable ripper. And a cable ripper has a little notch. I don't know if you can see that or not. I'll take a close-up picture if this doesn't turn out, but it's just got a little cutting edge. And I just make sure that I'm between the conductors, and you can see the shape of the conductors underneath the sheathing. And I just create a little bit of a tear. And that is enough now. I know I'm between the conductors. That is enough to start ripping the sheathing around the scoring that you did earlier, and see how easy that was. So now I have a nice clean cut. I haven't touched any of the conductors with anything sharp, and now it's just a matter of pulling the sheathing off and you're done. So that's a combination of different ways that I've seen on the net and electricians do that I personally like the best. It's reasonably fast and it works. So the next part is putting it into the box, and I'm going to do south sidewalk 3-way for this one. I like to push down on the 3 conductor. These boxes, if you look at the plastic boxes, they actually have a little bit of a notch, and I'll take a close-up and give this to you later. They have a notch on each side, and that is actually to allow when you're using a 2 conductor, that allows the black and the white to naturally flow in without abrading the outer plastic sheathing on this conductor. With the 3-wire, obviously there isn't 3 notches. So what I like to do is I just push down the tab a little bit, and at the same time, I forgot to do this, within the first inch, bend it forward. Now when you bend it back, those conductors are automatically feeding out. You don't get them stuck into the bonding plates or the lower strain relief conductors, anything like that. And then you just keep on pushing through. And then I need to see my glasses. I keep pushing until I get to the point where I can barely see the white, and then I just pull up a little bit. And I'll take a picture of that. That's now done. And it makes a nice clean joint, and that's all I've got to say on that. So thanks for visiting. I'll have some other tips as I go through this update for you, and we'll talk soon.